Okay. We're going to try to do this again. Sorry for the confusion and the delays, but I'm going to try to present as eloquently as I did an hour ago, and hopefully it's all going to go well. So let us get started. And even this is backwards. So I don't know what's going on. Okay. So we are told that we can have all the fruits and vegetables we want because they are so healthy, even though they cause joint pain and gout, all kinds of problems. Like I was limping around for 23 years without knowing like why my joints were hurting me. So today I'm going to share with you what I learned 8 years ago that solved my joint pain and helped me to lose 70 pounds. So I hope this is going to be helpful information for you. Um, Healthy foods cause two major problems that I'm going to talk about that are going to kind of be throughout this entire talk today. The first problem, and these problems actually impact joint pain directly. So I just want to make sure I say that. The first problem is that healthy foods are usually plants, and plants carry toxins. The second problem is that eating healthy makes you feel like you've earned a treat. So between these two things, our joints and our health just deteriorate. It becomes very problematic. Okay. So diet advice labels fruits and other plants as healthy based on micronutrients. So those are the vitamins and the minerals that are in the foods that we actually have a very difficult, mostly, we just actually, I won't even say have a difficult time. We mostly cannot access a lot of the micronutrients and in our plant foods because of the anti-nutrients that are in fruits and vegetables. So when they tell us that these things are healthy, it brings up a whole new question mark, right? Because are they just healthy? Well, no, because what anti-nutrients actually do is they block our body's ability not only to get the vitamins, minerals, whatever out of the food, but some of these plant foods have toxins, like straightforward toxins that harm our bodies, that people react to. So, one of the reactions we're going to talk about today are allergies. People are actually allergic to fruit. So, think about like apples. 2% of the population are allergic to apples. The thing that's the most common fruit that you would put in your kid's lunchbox. 7.9% are allergic to peaches. Again, something that we put in our kids' lunchboxes. When we talk about vegetables, carrots, celery, and nightshades are the vegetable that most people react to. And can I just point out that nightshades, um, like they I now know that they just destroyed my health. Most of my joint pain I now realize was because of tomatoes and paprika and just the way that in the Caribbean we spice our food. I was having I was having, and potatoes were in like a lot. I was having some kind of nightshade regularly. Uh, this idea of healthy implies that all fruits and vegetables are equally beneficial, but the allergic reactions that we have can be something as simple as a mild itchy lip or internal mouth itch. Like you could just have a little bit of itchiness all the way through to anaphylaxis, right? Where you have swollen airways and just like life-threatening anaphylaxis. our allergic reaction can be anything on that kind of a spectrum. So wellness warrior, even though that we have these allergies that we can live, fruits and vegetables don't just cause people, like if I take the people out who have allergies, the other problem is fruits and vegetables cause bloating and gas, diarrhea, blood sugar spikes, and then the blood sugar spikes lead to hypoglycemia. Even like there's fruits that cause erosion of our teeth from the acid in the fruits. I don't know if there's vegetables that have acid, but for sure fruits do. And of course, there's the weight gain that we live because we eat fruits and vegetables. So when we have an allergic reaction in our body becomes inflamed. And that inflammation actually triggers our joint pain and gout. Like inflammation generally will trigger these things. So there's a direct link between me eating inflammatory foods and having joint pain. Something that I was not aware of growing up in my teen years, in my adulthood. Like I didn't understand this until very recently. Like just a few years ago, this information was granted to me. I don't know by what, like by he finally put this information in front of me that I needed to know this, right? That healthy label that we have on plants, like fruits and vegetables, nuts, seeds, all these plant matter, the healthy label makes us blind to the actual impact. Like we just blindly trust that these perfect foods, right? Because they're all natural. So these perfect foods, we trust them blindly and we ignore any sign from our body that there could possibly be a problem, right? That that change didn't come from the food. Like that the problem didn't come from the food. The problem comes from people who want us to eat the food. So if I want you to eat processed stupidity, then I need to get you to eat health, the healthy stuff, right? Like so, because processed foods are made from plants mostly. I mean, they might sprinkle on a little bit of like meat or fish or whatever, but it's mostly made from plants. And so what they do is they market to us the idea that plant foods are healthy. And they've even taken the step of marketing to us that plant foods are healthier than animal foods. So I'm talking about this they. Let me just back up for a second. Just talk about who this they are. I'm talking about food companies. I'm talking about nutritionists and the diet industry and I'm talking about the people who benefit from us actually eating plant matter. They came up with this idea of superfoods. So superfoods are foods that we just take for granted are healthy. They come in the form of berries, they come in the form of dark leafy greens, nuts and seeds even. Like there's different foods that they just tell us like they have these qualities that if you eat them, your health is just going to be amazing. And so the reputation of a superfood means that we don't end up questioning whether or not that food will be healthy for us. But when we end up looking up these foods, right? The nutrients and the versus the normal fruits and vegetables, there's no significant difference. So eating a normal fruit and eating a fruit, they don't see any real benefit to paying the extra because a lot of times these acai berries and blueberries and they cost more. They don't see any benefit to us spending the extra money or going out of our way to get these superfoods. Now, there was a study with some kids, and what they did was that they had an advertisement like that they showed to the kids. One of the advertisements included a message about how this food was healthier and good for them. And then the other advertisement didn't have the health claim. It just advertised the food to the kid. And overwhelmingly, the children who were shown the advertisement with the health persuasion in it actually bothered their parents more to get them the food. They were on it, they're focused on it, like, I need this, right? Versus the ones where the child was not shown that healthy ad, like that it's going to help your body. They didn't bother their parents as much. So the kids were actually persuaded by the idea the food was healthy. Can I point out that this works on adults too? We buy cereal because there's a health claim on it. We buy granola bars, protein powders, all kinds of processed stupidity because there's a health claim on it. Even if that food, I now know today, isn't healthy. Eating healthy, another big issue that we have is that eating healthy is seen as a chore, right? It used to be that eating healthy was a sign that you were rich, right? You had the income, you had the money to be able to afford to eat healthy food every single day on repeat. That was seen as some kind of amazing feat. But today, for lots of reasons that I'm going to talk about, we prize eating fast food over eating a healthy meal. We drink as a way to reward ourselves for doing good stuff or to celebrate stuff, right? We prioritize snacking rather than just go make a meal. We'll snack on something. And I need us all to understand that a lot of this is coming back to this idea that uh, that things should be convenient. So I want to back up a bit. Like, we've been made to believe that eating healthy is a chore. And by making us believe that eating healthy is a chore, what they're really getting us to believe is that life should be easy. Whatever I want, I should get. And I shouldn't have to work for anything. And being upset, I should never be upset. Nothing in my life should go wrong. Like this live stream that I'm doing right now for the second time. I'm doing it for the second time because I messed up at the beginning. A lot of people would have lived this experience and said, okay, that's it. I guess I'm not live streaming today. No, I'm back because I have an important message to give you. And giving you this message isn't easy. I mean, today especially, giving you this message isn't easy, but it's the right thing to do. You guys need to understand why your joints are constantly hurting you, why that you're trying to be better, live better, do better, and it doesn't always seem to be working. And I want you to understand why. And the only way that I can actually do that is by really explaining to you what is happening. So here I am again, presenting to you again, because that's the right thing to do, right? Okay. The reason that we've been fed this idea that eating healthy is a chore, everything should be easy, is actually in the labeling. Like in the healthy label is the reasoning. If they make healthy eating hard, then when we do it, we end up feeling deprived instead of proud of ourselves because we've eaten healthy all week. We don't feel like, yes, I did good for me. We feel like, oh, I didn't get to have cookies. I didn't get to have ice cream. We end up chasing the thing that's ruining our health. We end up not embracing the stuff that makes us feel better, right? We end up rewarding ourselves for eating healthy with an unhealthy treat, wellness warrior. And then when we feel bad, we don't understand. Like, this is the second part of the problem that I was talking about, right? We end up eating the thing that creates holes in the foundation of our health. I want you to think about the fact that often we plan these desserts. So these cheats, right? We plan them. Oh, like, once a week I can have some ice cream, or maybe we even plan to have twice a month that we'll have pizza for supper. But then what we don't realize is that these planned excuses to eat off plan end up creeping up on us. And some people end up just planning to have them more regularly than, right? So if I'm daily, by the end of the day, thinking, well, I ate so well today, by the end of the day, I can have a cookie. The hole in the foundation that I'm making is so gigantic. And I'm using this example, this analogy on purpose, because I want you to understand something. If I actually take the time to say, I'm going to use the best materials to build my house. So I buy the best flooring that I can afford. I buy the best materials to create my walls. I'm going to put the best roof on the top of my house. So like I'm going to do metal structure, like, that's the best that they have right now, according to them. With even I'm going to put solar on the top. I'm doing everything that I'm supposed to do. But then when it's time to finish the flooring, like instead of going and getting the correct, refinishing tool to like sand it and then put down the correct finish on it, I'm just gonna hand sand it with sandpaper, maybe even use like a scrub brush or something, and then I'm gonna paint it with a brush and just put like, whatever finish on this beautiful wood that I bought for my floors. Maybe like I'm gonna attach my roofing with glue and duct tape, and to finish my walls, instead of, hiring a painter, I'm just gonna color it with markers. And like, just like my windows. I have all this nice bricking and everything, and, insulated the walls, but then my windows, I'm gonna use like thin sheets of plastic because, right? If all along the way, in between the perfectly beautiful, high quality materials that I accumulate to make my house, I insert foolishness that's gonna just ruin the high quality materials, because you know that thin layers of plastic, if I have winter here, the freezing cold is going to come in. When it's hot in the summer, all the heat's going to be like, I'll be running my air conditioning and heating system 24. It wouldn't make any sense. And all of us could look at what I just said and be like, Violet, something wrong with you? Like, why would you do that? Why not just buy all the cheapest materials and the cheapest windows and right? Like, why not just buy all the cheapest stuff? And this is the point I'm making to you right now, Wellness Warrior, is that when we decide to eat healthier, keto, carnivore, but we have this bad information that says that, or this bad idea, I should say, that says that eating healthy is hard, eating healthy leads to deprivation, eating healthy is not ideal, eating healthy is not socially gonna, no. Those people that socialize around junk food aren't caring about their health. And maybe because they haven't been in a position like I was, where I couldn't walk properly. And I looked like I was 80 years old when I was only 46. Maybe they've never been in the situation where they lived 23 years of their life, because 23 to 46, I had joint pain. 23 years, half of my life at that point in pain. Maybe they're not in the situation to want to be healthier. Maybe they've never lived 10 years overweight, struggling with food to want to be in a different situation. But once we realize that we are allowing ourselves to put holes in our 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 foundation, holes in our health, wellness warrior, then we need to stop, right? But here's the problem that we have. A lot of us don't realize we're doing it. A lot of us are doing it reflexively, like just living my life, eating healthy, go out with friends. I have every intention with friends to eat on plan. Like that's what's going through my head. And then I get there and the food's in front of me. And because for the last month, I haven't been out with friends and I've done so well. And all this background being healthy is hard. Stupidity. When I'm out with friends, I end up looking at that and saying something like, I was so good, one time isn't going to hurt. And I end up eating the thing. And sometimes we eat the thing and we're on a cascade of eating wrong for hours, days. Some of us even fall off the diet altogether. There was a study. They took a bunch of college students who were being told that they were going to be having this vitamin, and the vitamin was good for them. In reality, they were given a sugar pill. So the whole study was fake. They did not give them anything healthy. It was just a sugar pill. They wanted to see what the students would do. These students, so of the ones who smoked, they smoked more. Of the ones who exercised, they exercised less. And across the board, taking the vitamin, they ate worse. So what is this showing us? When we think that we've already done the healthy thing, we put ourselves in a position that we can slack off. Like we've been conditioned to believe that we can slack off because we did something good for us. I did something good here. I don't have to do the good thing here. It doesn't make any sense. It makes zero sense. We all know that if we want to keep our muscles, we need to keep going to the gym. But yet, how many of us will start a diet, get to goal weight, and then be like, yes, I got to goal weight. I don't have to do this anymore. Of course we do. If we want to keep the benefit of being healthy, we need to actually continue to eat healthy. That's the only way we keep the benefit. And again, this is stuff that I know that logically we know, but when it comes to dieting, because of this background data point that no, eating healthy is hard. That one, you know, I was today, sorry, not today, this past weekend in a meeting, so in a course where they were talking about healthy eating and how amazing healthy eating is for our good health. And so I decided to put my hand up and talk in the meeting and say, yeah, I'm carnivore. And the person giving the instruction absolutely knew what carnivore was, knew what keto was. Actually, a lot of what they were saying were keto and carnivore principles, etc. Beautiful. I was so happy to be in this course until I said what I said. And then they said, yeah, Violet, not everybody could do such a restrictive diet or something like that. Something along those lines. They called what I was doing restrictive. And I had to correct them. It's like, it's not restrictive. I do this willingly, happily, easily. I feel like I eat more than I've ever eaten in my life. And I am happy with what I don't feel restricted at all. I felt restricted when I was eating all the stuff that I was eating and couldn't walk around. I was eating all the stuff that I couldn't buy clothes in the size that I wanted to buy them. I couldn't buy clothes that I wanted to buy because it never went up to my size. I felt restricted when I was living in a body that couldn't do what I wanted to do. I want to pull this back. And I want to bring it back to the point that I'm trying to make today so you can understand how what I'm talking about impacts our joints. So, plant foods carry both oxalates and fructose. Those are two different kinds of toxins that impact our body. And yes, I'm calling fructose a toxin. I'll explain why in a minute, but I want to start with oxalates. Most people, or this, okay, I shouldn't say most, I didn't know what an oxalate was until I started this keto journey. Oxalates are a toxin that are in most plants. Most. It's hard to find a plant that doesn't have oxalates in it to some degree. So, when we improve our health on a keto diet, we end up removing so much plant foods that we just naturally decrease the amount of oxalates coming in. But when we get to, let's say we get to goal weight and we're feeling really amazing and we're happy with our progress, right? Or heaven forbid, you're one of the people that struggles to stay on a diet. And so maybe you're not even at goal weight yet, but you're like cycling on and off the diet. Regardless, if we take a lot of oxalates out of our diet, our body reacts by allowing us to start slowly letting go of these oxalates that have it's been sequestering throughout our body to keep them from harming us because oxalates are a toxin. Sally Norton describes this process as oxalate, like releasing. So, releasing. But what she has this other thing that she talks about where when we bring back oxalates in high amounts, so I get off the diet and I start eating normally, or even just not even doesn't have to be normally, just eating more oxalates than I was eating before. Sally Norton talks about oxalate dumping. That's when those oxalates start coming back in and my body starts reacting like, oh no, the toxins are coming back. And then rather than slowly over time allowing my body to release the oxalates like what it was doing, which when it releases it slowly, you don't even notice it happening. It's just nicely leaving you. When it dumps, you notice it. It feels really bad. Really bad. And one of the ways that we feel it is in our joints, right? Because oxalates create crystals and it in your joints. Now the other, I mean, you can have other things. Like I was talking to someone and he said like every time he blinked, he could feel like the crystals, like basically it can come out any way that we can eliminate toxins. It can, our body can push out oxalates. So it's not a fun thing and we don't want it to be happening to us. But that's one way that people do experience this joint pain in the keto carnivore world. If I stop doing the diet and I allow these things back in, problems happen. Now, the other toxin that I want to talk about, and there's more than these two toxins in plant matter, by the way. I'm picking these two because I have something to say about these two, because these two have a huge impact on in our lifestyle, how joint pain keeps getting expressed, and why we walk around in pain all the time, or on and off. So fructose, the other toxin in plant matter, that's the sugar in fruits and vegetables. So as we discussed in Thursday's video, when our liver processes fructose beyond 5 grams, and so I say beyond 5 grams because if we eat only 5 grams of fructose, our liver, nope, our intestines will filter it out and our liver doesn't have to deal with it. But when we eat more than 5 grams of anything, sorry, when we eat more than 5 grams of fructose, so I want to say anything containing fructose, then our body, our liver, now has to process it. When our liver processes fructose, it releases uric acid. Uric acid is something else that can get deposited in our joints, causing joint pain. Now, joint pain from gout usually is associated with uric acid. That's the one we talk about the most. So when we see people, and I'm one of those people, talk about how they're going to be good, and instead of having, in my case, instead of having chocolate, they're going to have fruit as their snack. The problem is still happening. Like, I'm still gaining weight because fruit causes, so again, weight gain, maybe from allergies, but also just weight, right? Oh, going back to that, if we're inflamed, we're holding water. Holding water causes weight gain. Just like something just kind of clicked in my head right now. But anyways, fruit as a snack allows us to continue to bring in fructose, which allows our liver to process fructose, which allows us to produce uric acid. So fruit is contributing, and vegetables that contain fructose is contributing to our joint pain. And there's one interesting piece of information that I want to share with you that I learned was that doctors don't actually test for oxalate. They test for uric acid. So there is a test for that, for uric acid, not oxalate. So joint pain tends to get attributed to um, uric acid, which is why whenever you hear gout, we're talking about uric acid, but it wouldn't get attributed to oxalate because they just don't test for it. So it would go undiagnosed, even if that's exactly the reason that's causing your joint pain. So can you imagine you go to the doctor runs tests, no uric acid comes up, your foot is swollen and toe and like the bunion is there, but they're telling you, nope, nope, you don't have gout. So you might be told you have a bunion, but like the reason for it, no explanation given, no actions to take. Well, even if you have gout, no actions to take. Oh no, that's not true. That's not true. But I'm gonna talk about that in a minute because there are actions to take. What I'm trying to get you guys to understand is that fruits and vegetables being labeled as healthy lead us to eating them without any kind of concern, without any kind of hesitation. We are confused. We're just confused about what would lead to good health. We're confused about our poor joint health. Like we don't understand it. We don't know what to do. And then we have these food guides, which they recently updated. And the food guide says 2 servings of fruit, 3 servings of vegetables. Now, if you keep reading, it also says eat a wide variety of whole, colorful, nutrient dense vegetables and fruit in its original form, prioritizing freshness and minimal processing. So when it comes to protein, what the food guide says is the food guide, the food guide says um, every meal must prioritize high quality, nutrient dense protein from both animal and plant sources, paired with healthy fats from whole foods such as eggs, seafood, meats, love that, full fat dairy, okay, nuts, seeds, olives, and avocados. So what did we just add there? Nuts, seeds, and fruits. So what I want to point out to you, Wellness Warrior, 2 servings of fruits, 2 servings of vegetables doesn't say what the maximum is. Doesn't say what the minimum is. By the way, for anybody who wants to know what the minimum is, I'll tell you. Since our body makes all the carbohydrates that it needs, since our body extracts micronutrients from meat, because meat has everything a human body needs, fish has everything a human body needs, poultry has everything a human body needs, eggs is the perfect food, therefore has everything a human body needs. We don't actually need to eat any vegetation. So the minimum that we could actually eat is 0. But they don't give us a maximum, which means that what they've now done by telling us that when you're eating fruit, You need to eat a wide variety of whole, colorful, nutrient dense vegetables and fruits. Makes it seem like 2 to 3 servings wouldn't nearly be enough. Tell me if you heard that the way that I heard it, because that's what I heard in my head. If I need to eat nutrient dense, like the way that that's worded, how could 2 to 3 servings be enough? If I can get my animal, or sorry, if I can get my protein needs met by both animal and plant sources, again, aren't you encouraging me to eat more plants? Will I get my two? Will my 2 to 3 servings be enough? And can I just guarantee you, Wellness Warrior, that I have spoken to many people who have said that they don't believe that 2 to 3 servings, like that that 2 servings, that like they don't believe that there's a minimum, that they need to eat more and more and more fruits and vegetables. They don't think they eat enough fruits and vegetables, even though fruits, vegetables, nuts, seeds, legumes, grains, they probably eat too much because our body needs absolutely how much? None of them. As you can see from the language that the food guide is using, it's encouraging eating plant foods. It continues to encourage this eating of plant foods, even though our bodies do not respond well to them. There's no upper limit placed on eating plant matter, fruits, vegetables, nuts. There's no upper limit placed. It just encourages eating them. So even though there's supposed to be major overhaul of the nutrition guidelines, their wording still leaves us feeling a strong push towards eating these things. Now, I didn't go into detail, and I don't plan to go into detail here today about nuts, seeds, and grains. But in a video that I already did on this channel with Dr. Eid, Georgia Eid, she talked about nuts, seeds, and grains being the most defended part of the plant because, very simply, animals protect themselves with their teeth or their nails. Animals protect themselves by running away. Plants can't do those things. They can be spiky, and so therefore they can protect themselves by making eating them uncomfortable, touching them uncomfortable. The only other thing they can do is make sure that when you do eat part of them, you have a reaction, right? So that's a chemical defense. And Dr. Eid pointed out very clearly that that chemical defense does impact us, especially over time. Plants have toxins in them. Dr. Chafee also talked about the fact that, and I interviewed him as well, plants have toxins in them. They are not healthy for us to eat. My major issue with the current guidelines is that it still encourages eating vegetation when our body reacts poorly to them. And we're eating this vegetation. Why? Because companies encourage us to eat them, whether it's ultra processed versions because they label all the packaging with healthy, healthy, healthy talk, or actual fruits and vegetables and whole foods versions of them, because I've been told my entire life, most of us have been told our entire life, that these are the healthy things to eat. And we have even been told that they are healthier to eat than meat, fish, poultry, eggs, and salt, even though meat, fish, poultry, eggs, and salt are what's food for humans, and nuts, seeds, legumes, vegetables, plant matter are what's food for livestock. Livestock is what's food for us. Wellness Warrior, if you are experiencing joint pain or know someone who's experiencing joint pain, someone else that you might have in your life who's suffering, I need you guys looking at the food. The food is what is determining how your body is feeling. Are you building your house with the right materials? Or are you buying expensive materials and then cladding your windows with plastic that's going to let all the heat out and all the air conditioning out and just like waste your money heating and cooling this building, this structure? Are you creating holes in your own foundation? If you are suffering or you know people that are suffering and you want to help them out, you need to share this video with them and hit that like button so more people find the video and are able to get this good information, and that YouTube knows that it's good information and will keep showing it to new people. Because knowing that fructose metabolism is what releases uric acid is extremely important. And I want to point something out to you, because we're often told that gout is solely about purines. So purines are the things that get produced when we break down animal protein. So that's meat, fish, poultry, eggs, right? When you break down those things, purines are created. And we are told that, yeah, it's because you eat meat that uric acid is, and it's true. By the way, I'm not going to say that when we break down purines, we don't create uric acid, but that's the only place we're focused on for why our body has too much uric acid. So let's take a look at that for a second. What they don't talk about when they're talking to us about eating meat and having a gout attack, because and first of all, I want to say that I would love to see that connection be made, first of all. But second of all, what they don't tell us, what gets left out, is that uric acid production, when you break down meat into purines into uric acid, doesn't actually lead to excessive amounts of uric acid in our bodies. So why not? When we break down uric acid, when we break down animal proteins and eventually end up with uric acid, there's glycine also broken down. So when we break down animal protein, we end up also acquiring glycine from the animal protein. And glycine and uric acid end up interacting. Why? What is glycine doing? Glycine amplifies the excretion of uric acid, which is why when you break down animal proteins, you don't end up with excessive amounts of uric acid. You end up with whatever you're supposed to end up with, the right amount, not excess. Because do not forget that uric acid, I believe, if I'm remembering correctly, is one of the antioxidants. Like, we actually need some uric acid in our body. And if I'm remembering that incorrectly, somebody correct me in the comments or but I believe I'm remembering that correctly. What's my point? Even if it isn't one of the antioxidants, what's my point? But the way that we break down animal protein, the solution to the uric acid is coming along with the animal protein. So we're getting this byproduct, but we're also getting the solution to the byproduct in animal protein. That does not happen when uric acid is being accumulated because of fructose breakdown. So metabolism. When we are metabolizing fructose and our liver is producing uric acid, there's no glycine coming from that reaction to escort the uric acid out of our body. That's a problem, because of course we're going to be overloaded at that point. And especially since there's no limit on how much fruit we can eat, we can be eating fruit and vegetables throughout the day and therefore accumulating uric acid throughout the day. And I've watched a lot of people when I worked in the company that I worked for, like how much fruit and vegetables they would be eating. And again, I noticed it because I hated fruit. I honestly, I was envious of them. How are you able to eat all this healthy stuff? That drives me nuts. Not realizing, because I didn't realize I didn't want to be eating that. Anything that has fructose in it is contributing to this problem that we're talking about, Wellness Warrior. Right? You are going to be accumulating excessive amounts of uric acid, which is going to lead to inflammation and cause joint pain. And I mean, I'm talking about joint pain today. That inflammation doesn't only cause joint pain, it causes rashes. I had rashes. Um, it causes like internal organ damage. This stuff isn't just, it's not just only causing joint pain, although I had 23 years of joint pain because I didn't understand what I'm sharing with you today. My knees were the first to get impacted, and then my back. I had tennis elbow, neck stiffness at one point. I couldn't turn my neck, um, and then eventually my hip, which is what helped me to find the keto lifestyle and figure out what I'm sharing with you today. So when you're deciding that you're going to be good and you're switching from drinking soda to having juice instead, the problem is still happening. When I decided to put down chocolate for bananas, because I wasn't going to go for like a bland fruit like melon or whatever. I was doing bananas, I was doing kiwi, I was doing strawberries, which I would dip in sugar. Like, doesn't make any sense. The problem was still happening. Pain is proof that our body will respond to whatever sugar it's given. Like, it doesn't matter what sugar you give it, your body will just respond, right? So the only way to solve joint pain, well, the only way, can I say that? A huge way to solve joint pain and generally get your health back, we need to check the actual oxalate and fructose content of the foods that we're going to eat. We need to look at it directly. A low oxalate diet is like between 50 and 100 milligrams of oxalate. So when we're talking about things like dark chocolate or almonds or most nuts, seeds, spinach, right? All of those things are high in oxalate. And guess what? These are foods and snacks that are generally accepted by the keto and carnivore community. Well, not so much the carnivore, but the keto and the low carb community. These side dishes and snacks, no one even blinks at. We can have berries, even though there's fructose in that. Nobody even blinks at it. We eat these things not realizing that our body is reacting. And can I point out to you, going back to my house analogy, when you clean up a room, so let's say you had a room that was just full of junk and it was just like overrunning with junk, and you clean it up, you get it all nicely organized. And then you turn around and live in it for a few days, and now maybe your phone, instead of being on the charger, it's on the middle of the table, and the remote is there, and a coffee mug and some papers. Compared to what the room looked like before, nothing. But now that the room's cleaned up, your eyes go right to that mess that's on the coffee table. And guess what? Our body's the same. Sure, we might have been eating all the junk food, all the craziness, all the whatever before, but now that we take the time to actually, clean up what we're doing and eat better and, bring everything down to its minimal amounts, that little bit of fructose coming in, that the impact it was having 5 years ago on me versus if I had 10 grams of fructose today, the impact is going to be larger. Why? My room is cleaned up and that little bit of mess on the coffee table is obvious. My point is that we've been told forever that these healthy foods are healthy, even though these foods have been contributing to our joint pain for so long, and we had no idea. No idea. So today, we need to stop asking, is this healthy? Like, that's not the question anymore. It's not about, is this healthy? Because if we ask them if it's healthy, they're going to lie to us. They're going to say, yes, even though they know it's not healthy, because that's what they do. They want our what? They want our money. So how does telling us that fruits and vegetables and nuts, blah, 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 are healthy get their money? Because first of all, who makes all the fruits and vegetables, whatever? There's like one company that controls all the fruits and vegetables, whatever, because they control all the seeds. So like there's one company. But add to that, the other side of this coin is when we eat the thing we think is healthy, but end up unhealthy. What happened to Violet? I was in front of doctors. How often they make money from that? What happened to Violet? I was in taking chiropractic appointments. I was taking creams and stuff to make my pain go away. I tried a few medications, they didn't work, but I did try them. We end up taking and doing so much dumb stuff because we don't know that our body is reacting because it's supposed to be reacting. So rather than asking, is this healthy? I want you to start checking what is in this. And that's a tricky one. I'm going to acknowledge that that's a tricky one because in order to know what you're looking for in it, you need to know that there's something to look for in it, which is why I'm making this video. Again, please share it. I'm making this video on purpose. And I want you to share it to yourself too. Take it, go down, copy the link, put it in a file, in a document, so that you can come back and watch this video again, because you need to hold on to some of these ideas and like really rewatch the video and get it emblazoned into your head. And also by sharing the video, help me out, get it emblazoned into your head that these ideas matter. And I can't change them if I don't think about them. And the only way for me to think about them is to touch the idea every once in a while. Like I go back and watch doctors' videos where they said things. Why? Because I want to remind myself. It's part of the reason sometimes you'll notice that like every time I watch a video and it reminds me something, I'm going to put that clip in again because that's such a foundational part of why I do and think about my diet the way I do and think about my diet. When we actually pay attention to our body and end up reacting to the signals that our body is giving us, that is when we win, Wellness Warrior. Because instead of just believing them that if I eat this, I'm going to feel better, even though I'm eating it and I feel horrible, and I keep eating it and I keep feeling horrible, and I eat this new superfood and I feel rather than doing that, we end up eating something, hearing what my body said, and then change it. It's a test that I control because the test is about me. I know what I ate and what I didn't eat, and therefore what helped me to feel good and what helped me to feel bad. We never control the label. So let me tell you something. That label that we are so relying on to give us data points about what's healthy and not healthy, the marketing on the packaging that we're relying on, they write ingredients in a way for us not to know what they're talking about on purpose. They do it on purpose. They don't want us to know that fruit, whatever, is the sugar from the fruit. They don't want us to know that, you know, like XYZ kind of flour is just the carbohydrates from the flour. I'm sorry, from the plant. They don't want us to know that they are looking for every single way to put more carbohydrates, sugar, two words for the same stuff. They're looking for more than and every single kind of way to put more sugar, carbohydrates into our foods, because the right combination of salt, sugar, and fat gets us to chase, and therefore we overeat, and therefore they make more money. They don't want us to know that, because if we knew that, we would stop buying their garbage. We would stop eating fruit that we don't need, because the amount of fruits and vegetables and nuts, seeds, legumes that we need to eat is zero, because our bodies are energized and built from animal proteins and fats. This is what I needed you to understand about why your joints hurt. Because once you understand it, you can make real changes. But we need to understand, and this is like two little things but they're so huge because every single fruit and vegetable, or almost every fruit and vegetable, has fructose. Almost every plant, now we're just going across the board, has oxalate. These two things impact our joint pain so much. And oxalate isn't even brought to us as an idea. And the origin of uric acid isn't told to us is coming from fructose. So in this one story that this one idea that I'm giving you right now, Wellness Warrior, I want you to see where the two huge driving factors of our joint pain, which I also found out that you don't have to have dumping for people to have joint pain from oxalates. Like some people just eat so much vegetation that their body can't hide the oxalate in them in places that doesn't hurt anymore, and starts having to put it in places where so it's and we're unaware. Well, now you know. What are you going to do moving forward to make sure that this joint pain problem that you might be living, or someone that you know is living, like, how are you going to make sure that you keep your body safe, first of all? And what are you going to do in the future when you're in these situations where you're faced with a decision to make about, am I eating on plan or not? Because that's the other part of this, right? Eating healthy is hard. No, it's not. It really isn't. I eat healthy every day because I like eating healthy. I eat healthy every day because I like feeling good. And feeling good means that I enjoy eating healthy, and my foods taste amazing. That's another thing, is that we think that we need spices and this and that and whatever to make our food taste good. That's not reality. All we need to do is eat real food on repeat long enough for our mouth, so our taste buds to adjust, so that real food on repeat tastes good. Think about your pets, right? I don't spice my cat's meat, fish, or poultry that it eats. I just give it the meat, fish, poultry, just like that. It eats it, and it's happy to eat it every time. We need to stop allowing their marketing to impact our behavior and start acting out of what's best for our health. If you guys have questions, this is the time to ask the questions. I'm going to answer as many as I possibly can. Again, I want to apologize for this morning. Even right now, I'm looking at the live stream, and I can see that on my main channel, it's vertical, which I didn't, when I quickly re-uploaded the live stream information, I guess I didn't validate that it was, yeah. So I appreciate everybody who came back to watch. And if you have questions, this is your opportunity. If there are no questions and I was absolutely clear, then that's terrific too. I'm fine either way. But I want to just say thank you again for letting me come on and speak to you again, second round too. And yeah, I hope that this was helpful. Pat, hello. And I also want to say thank you to all the people that were in the previous live stream who were like screaming at me that the sound wasn't working. Like so let me just tell you why I didn't notice it. Russell, I'm glad that you came back, because I know you were one of the people from the earlier information. You were one of the earlier people, and I'm still happy that I was able to present this information that you wanted to hear. The reason that I didn't notice is that I try not to let myself get distracted by watching, like, how many people are on, or like how many comments am I getting. Like, I want to start off by giving you guys good information and allowing you to hear the information, so that if you have questions, you have, what you're asking me questions about. And so, like, I noticed, because I've tried to do it before, where I'm kind of interacting with comments and then I'm trying to give you the good information. I lose track of what I'm talking about, and I don't always I don't always present the information as coherently as I can. And I really do want to try to get it presented like the best possible way for you to benefit from it. And that's basically the reason that normally I will just present the information and then come to my comments. So that's why I didn't notice. when people were screaming at me that there was no audio. But I will tell you, moving forward, I'm going to be checking to see if I have audio. That's this is it's not fun to not have audio and have to redo it. I don't even, I mean, I'm hard on myself, but I feel like I presented it so much better the first time than I did the second time. Just because I was all excited and hyped about it when I first started talking this morning, because this is a topic that touched my life so much. Like I said, 23 years of my life in pain. And I wanted to present you guys with the best possible information. And so I feel like I did a good job, but I don't feel like I presented it as well as I presented it the first time. Um, but that's okay, right? I presented what you needed to hear. So, Deb, I'm so happy to see you here from Bangladesh. Did I say that right? Bangladesh? Bangladesh. Um, I'm gonna give a few more moments to see if anybody has questions. But if there aren't any questions, that's fine too. Like I said, I know that many people might have jumped off to go and just do other things because they needed to get back to work or whatever. So I appreciate everyone who tried to warn me. Again, I will say that. And have a great rest of your day, guys, because it looks like I'm not getting any comments right now. So have a great rest of your day, guys. I will talk to you next Monday with audio, the first shot, I hope. And I will try to bring you another important topic so that we can learn about our body and improve our health. Because honestly, I don't say this enough. A healthy body regulates its weight. When we eat healthy, our body gets all the tools it needs to repair anything that needs repairing. And I mean anything. There's a lot of talk that we have in the medical world that says that our body can't repair itself. Like there's certain parts of our body that just can't be repaired. That is actually blatantly not true. Every single cell in our body is regenerated, or replaced, I should say replaced, over the course of 20-ish years. So I'm sitting here in front of you and I am not the same cells that I was 30 years ago. These are completely different cells because in a 20-ish year period, my body got replenished. So if that's possible and doable, that means that corrections can obviously be made. Because if you were going to use a health analogy again, if you were going to renovate your bathroom, you're not going to tear out the bathroom and then put back in the same bathroom, right? You're not going to put the same toilet and the same sink and whatever. What would be the point of tearing it out to put it back in the exact same stuff? What you're going to do is you're going to tear it out and you're going to put in new stuff, which is what our body does. It doesn't replace cells like from my shoulder or my shoulder to my leg. It replaces leg muscle with new leg muscles, like newly created leg muscle. That's what it does. So another piece of information that they use to scare us into thinking that we need medications and we need their help to be healthy, when in fact what we need to do is eat healthy and allow our body to heal. So I'm going to leave you on that point. Talk to you guys again next week in the next live. Today's video is brought to you by my keto consultations. You know how to do keto, but you're having trouble just sticking with it? Book a consultation with me and we're going to get you back on track. The link is in the description.